talk about becoming a leader, when you talk about being an entrepreneur, when you talk about becoming your own boss, rest assured that there's a process to all of that. It just doesn't happen with a great idea and a bunch of brainstorming.
Dame Dash recently did an interview with the morning radio show The Breakfast Club. He talked about what it means to be a boss and how calling another man boss is like calling another man daddy. He also said that people that have jobs are pretty much too lazy to invest in themselves. What are your views on his thoughts on manhood and entrepreneurship, and are black people's lack of ownership really attributed to laziness, or are his views simply flawed?
It's time for us as black people to start leading our own lives. And some of the things he said, they kind of they didn't sit right with me, man, because respect is a very big thing, and you can't sit there and say that you don't respect a man that's working a job to try to pay his bills, to try to get the things and the necessities that he needs. If he has children, taking care of his children. If he has a wife, taking care of his wife, or other people in his family. You can't say that you don't respect that, because, that's just a flawed way of thinking. Just because somebody is in a position where they're working for somebody else doesn't mean that they don't deserve respect. Everybody not going to have the opportunity to be a boss. That's the way he's talking about it. Every man should be their own boss and be their own, determine their own financial destiny on their own. That's not realistic for our economy. Everybody can't have their own business supply the public or the people with a particular product, and we think that our economy is going to continue to flow as such. You're always going to need employees. So what are we going to say then? All men should be bosses and all women should be employees? That's just not going to happen. Plus, mathematically speaking, a lot of women going to own their own business anyway. So, are we saying then that now we need to let the men take over women running businesses too? And they concentrate fully on being an employee and doing what we tell them to do? That's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? You got to take care of yourself. And he made a couple of points about how in his childhood or early adulthood, how he worked for himself, and how he learned early on that he never wanted to work for anybody, so he never worked for anybody, and he was able to become Damon Dash, who he is today. But he don't really explain the whole picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody that's followed Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Biggs and followed their story and been a fan of their music and their entertainment over the years, you would notice the steps that they took in order to put themselves in a position to where they consider themselves all bosses today. You know what I'm saying? People got this misconception that Rockefeller Records just popped up out of the blue because these three guys wanted to go ahead and start a rap label. True, it did happen. Kareem Biggs, Damon Dash, and Jay-Z or Sean Carter said that they want to start their own company. But what he's forgetting to explain is Rockefeller wasn't Jay-Z's first label. Jay-Z was signed to a record company called Payday Records. While he was with Payday Records was supposed to be trying to entice that rap deal from a major label that he actually wanted. Deals were on the table. He didn't feel that those deals were lucrative enough. He felt that he was worth more. He valued his music and what he did as an artist more than what was put out there for him. So then he took a move that most people didn't do. He left the startup label that he was on to form his own label. But it's worth noting that he actually pursued to work for another label. And Damon Dash, being his manager, okayed this. So you didn't always think like this. And you know what I'm saying, even prior to that, they were drug dealers. They were hustles in the streets of Harlem in New York City. You say you never worked for somebody and you tell your story like that, but you don't tell them that a lot of the things that you did prior to you becoming this worldwide businessman, you were doing things that are illegal. You were a criminal. Maybe you didn't get caught, or maybe you didn't catch a felony or anything, but you were a criminal. So you can't say this. And when kids don't have an opportunity to work, you can only start working when you're at 15 with the permit, and that's only certain type of jobs. So you're saying until then, because people are always trying to make money. Are you saying that the only avenues that you suggest to somebody who doesn't have a job, or somebody who's not old enough to work a certain job, or run their own business because they don't have the financial back and do that? Are you saying that they should run and do something illegal to get the things they want to be a boss? You know, that's you sending mixed messages. I understand the concept of investing in yourself. You got to invest in yourself with everything that you do. You know, we as children, we have to invest in our own education. We have to study. We have to show up and go to class. We have to build a rapport with our teachers. That's investment right there. On the job, you're invested in yourself, whether you work for somebody, whether you know it or not. You go to work on time. You take care of all your tasks and duties. And you do that in hopes of moving up in the company or receiving a pay raise. So I understand that whole concept. What we have to really focus on is getting back to being active people in our community and investing in our community. The things that are out there as far as like product and industry, we have the ability and the resources and the knowledge out there to start using that to our advantage and putting businesses in our community. You know, it's easy to say to become a boss and be a rapper. Everybody out there is being a rapper. That's why it's such a popular field for young black men and young women to go in. Young people just in general, because it goes beyond just one particular race or culture. It's easy to say that. You see it all the time. It's on TV constantly. It's on the internet constantly. We go to school. We see kids that are trying to do that as a hobby on the side. But we don't meet farmers every day. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's actually a boss, somebody who owns property, invests in their own property, in their own land, make sure that they work the land so they can reap the benefits of their investments, and then push it out there to the public. You put your produce out there. You put whatever other resources that you planted in the ground. You put that out there and you make profit off there. We don't meet farmers every day. We don't meet authors every day. People who sit there and take the time to perfect their writing styles, learn the language arts and the grammar, and put it all down in the book, publish it, you know, get it edited, go through the process of copywriting and building a brand and getting your barcodes so you can put them in the stores, and then working for yourself. We don't see that every day. And so it's kind of unfair for him to sit there and especially put that pressure on men. You know what I'm saying? I think that we all have the ability to be entrepreneurs in some type of way or fashion or form. The reality is everybody will not be able to do that, whether it be circumstances or whether it be the lack of education, you know? But I think that the point that he was trying to make is we have to learn and find ways to be self-sufficient and not depend on other people to provide our income for us, to clothe our children, to feed our children, to be able to rent property from, to live in as a resident. You know what I'm saying? But we have to rest assured that when you talk about becoming a leader, when you talk about being an entrepreneur, when you talk about becoming your own boss. Rest assured that there's a process to all of that. It just doesn't happen with a great idea and a bunch of brainstorming. Anybody that has become an entrepreneur, there are steps that you have to take. And the majority of the time, unless you're just born into wealth, then you don't have the money off top to start your own business. So even then, when you do become an entrepreneur, you still have to go seek the money from somewhere to start it up. Whether it be a loan, whether it be investors, you still have to seek that. And then on top of that, you do have to pay it back. That's one of the biggest things that a lot of children and a lot of young adults get mixed up on. It's like we want to do things, we want to buy things, we want to have all of these things that available to us, but we don't realize credit is what gets us a lot of us in the financial situations and the financial stress that we go through as adults. You know, I know a lot of bosses today in debt to someone else, filing bankruptcy. Or, you know, you got people like Dame Dash, who was a boss, and then what happens? He has a friend that convinces him to sell his share so that he can work solo and do his own thing. And then you left in that position like, man, you know? So with anything that involves economics and money and financial situations, you have to learn that there's a process and there's an education while you're actually running your own business. There's a process of education to while you're running your own business, because you're going to learn things, you're going to find out things that you never knew before. And sometimes you're going to take that loss and you're going to have to fall back. And some people thrive. But it's not as simple as waking up and saying that I'm just going to work for myself. And that's the reason why you've seen that Twitter backlash with let's tweet like Dame Dash. Because he made it almost impossible for anybody to ever, it was funny, it was humor, but he made it impossible for anybody to be able to enjoy anything. Because the way he put it, he was like, you can't do nothing without considering yourself a boss. It was like, man, you can't buy a pair of earbuds. You can't even be a consumer. Why? Because bosses aren't consumers. That was the joke, basically. You couldn't enjoy anything without having to complain about it. And so, you know, I like the approach. I like what he's saying. We have to develop our own selves. We have to become self-sufficient. We have to invest in ourselves, and we have to learn about cooperative economics and be people that are leaders in our community. But it's going to be a process, and you can't do it alone. You have to have some type of knowledge, and you have to have somebody that you can at least get advice from or model yourself after. Because, you know what I'm saying, nobody's wealth is born overnight. Point blank, period.